Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show Just My Thoughts. I'm your host, Erick Coughlin, and today's thought agenda is going to be continuing with the free agency of the NBA, the offseason of the NBA, however you want to look at it. This is the time where they sign free agents, they make trades, they reboost their rosters, and we've been already doing this now for the last 3 episodes. This is episode 4. I told you guys that we're going to cover the entire NBA, and that's what we've been doing. So today's division is the Northwest Division of the Western Conference. That's the Utah Jazz, the Minnesota Timberwolves, the Oklahoma City Thunder, Portland Trail Blazers, and the Denver Nuggets. So this division in general is kind of interesting because a couple of those teams have been rebuilding for the last 2 or 3 seasons, Oklahoma City Thunder and the Utah Jazz. And then one of these teams are last year's champions, the Denver Nuggets. So this is a very, very good, very interesting division to cover. It's not usually has nothing to do with me, but so far it's been my favorite division to cover for multiple reasons. We'll get into that as we break it down, starting with the Utah Jazz. Propel Waters today. Oh wait, you can't read it. Now you can read it. I've been drinking Propel ever since Propel's been invented. I love Propel, so that's why I'm drinking it today. So as I said, a lot of these teams are already been working on a rebuild. That's Utah Jazz have been doing that. So, and their big forefront of their rebuild is become Lauri Markkanen, who used to be my #1 dude on my team. Biggest problem with him was he kept on getting hurt. Like every year, he had great numbers, but couldn't even play a full season. Like the most games he's played in a season with Chicago is 66, right? So we had to let him go somehow. I think he ended up being like in Cleveland. I can't really remember where he went after us, but it didn't stay long. Like Utah snagged him up, made him their guy, paid him big money, and last year he was the most improved player of the NBA, and I seen that coming. I seen points where he'd shine and he'd outplay everybody in the NBA. I've seen a lot of that in him, so he's like an unknown superstar. The reason why is because of injuries. And now that he's finally healthy, now that he's finally not hurt, played a phenomenal 79 games last year. He sat out the last couple because he wanted to and he deserved it. And the Jazz didn't even make playoffs. There weren't the threats to make the playoffs, so it was rightfully deserved. Needless to say, so this is what they've done. They picked up 2 huge names that I like. I like both of these names. Both of these names that I'm about to drop that the Utah Jazz had snagged up during this offseason. I would have loved for the Bulls to snag either one of them. The Jazz snagged both of them. So listen to what I've got to say. Omer Yurtseven for 2 years and $6 million. They got him on league minimum three mil, but they signed him for a couple of years. So 2 years, $6 million for Omer Yurtseven. This is a guy that's going to go straight into that team and already be their bench focal point. He's going to be the center coming off the bench. He'll be the center, and he's probably coming off the bench as to be like the team leader, not necessarily their 6th man. I think Chris Dunn's going to hold that position. I think Chris Dunn's going to, bark up and become their 6th man, and rightfully deserved. Had a great year last year. Another former Bull. Did okay for us. I don't know why we let him go, but we did because we drafted Kobe White. We thought Kobe White was going to be the answer. Newsflash, he's still on the team, just got 3-year extension. So Kobe White was the answer. But Chris Dunn is a very good point guard in the league, probably in the top 25 point guards in the league. So I think he stays their 6th man. But Omer Yurtseven gives him a teammate. And outside of that, so they'll still have, a handful of guys that they had last year. They didn't really lose nobody, but they gained talent. John Collins through a 3-way trade. So it's essentially a 1-year deal. He'll make whatever Atlanta had to pay him last year is what he'll make for them. And then he'll become a restricted free agent that gives the Utah Jazz opportunity to keep him. And I think that's going to happen. Listen, this is what I think is going to this team on paper is full of talent. And if you can remember, so before Colin Sexton got hurt last year, they were actually first in the West, and then they lost 16 straight games, and they had to find ways to, what do they call that? They call that All-Star Weekend happened, All-Star Break. That's what they call that, All-Star Break. They had to play completely different than how they had already been playing, before that time. So lost 16, 17 straight games, fell out of the playoff race, missed the playoffs. I don't think that's going to happen. So I think John Collins getting signed through this trade makes him a starter. So that means you have Colin Sexton starting point guard, Jordan Clarkson starting shooting guard, who just got re-signed to a 3-year, $55 million deal. They're committing to him being part of their big three that we're about to discuss. Colin Sexton point guard, Jordan Clarkson shooting guard, Thalen Horton or Talon Horton Jr., the guy they got out of Tucker, I think Talon Horton Tucker, there you go. Talon Horton Tucker Jr. is what it is. Anyway, they got this guy from LA a couple of years ago. He's been in the league 3 or 4 years. He's a very solid wing, probably top 25 solid wings. He can shoot the three. He's a 3-and-D player. He can shoot the three. He plays good defense. He'll help you on rebounds. And then you add John Collins to the point guard or power forward and Lauri Markkanen as the center. That's a scary five. So the big three would be Jordan Clarkson, would be John Collins, and would be Lauri Markkanen. That's their new big three. I think that's going to be very good for them for years to come. All these guys are still in their 20s. All these guys can still play 5 years, no problem. Can all handle contracts within that time frame. Utah Jazz has the next half a decade to own this division, and they already have a very, very solid building blocks for, like, in the future. They just work on draft picks or just work on veteranship. They've got a squad to fear. The Utah Jazz did a great job. They didn't spend a lot of money, but they didn't have to. They got John Collins on a trade deal, so they're saving the money for him next year. They did sign Omer Yurtseven, but for dog cheap, 2 years, $6 million. The only money that they really spent was on Jordan Clarkson, but that was like they gave him a baby deal. They talked him into taking a little bit of money to build this team. They're brilliant. They're smart. Again, 3 years, $55 million. And I'm telling you that the Northwest better keep an eye on the Utah Jazz, because I already see them as a second-place team, and they might mess around and be the first-place team of this division. Moving forward, Minnesota Timberwolves. Let me light this and we'll talk about them because they are depressing. The Minnesota Timberwolves, this is what they've done. So they've picked up a guy that's Alexander Walker for a 2-year deal. I don't even remember where Alexander Walker even played before going to the Timberwolves. So obviously that's not a very big name. I don't even know who he is. Obviously he's a rotation player at best. They got him on a 2-year deal. Troy Brown Jr. 1-year deal. Troy Brown Jr., former Bull, went to the Lakers. Now he's going to be a Timberwolf. Anthony Edwards got the big money. He got the 5-year, $260 million contract. And then Shake Milton got a 2-year, $13 million contract. So they spent a shit ton of money on Anthony Edwards, looking to be their franchise guy, their next big thing for many and many years to come. If you can remember last year, they did the same thing. Rudy Gobert got a 4-year deal. Karl Anthony Towns got a big 4-year deal. 5-year. Karl Anthony Towns, Cat might have got a 5-year deal last year. That's what they call him. They call him Cat, Karl Anthony Towns. So when you're looking at the Timberwolves, you see 3 huge names, but they all play the same position. Rudy Gobert, power forward / center. Karl Anthony Towns, power forward / center. And then you got Mario Edwards, who is a small forward / power forward. So you got 3 huge guys that are all obviously going to be in the starting rotation. Then you have nothing to counter-react that. You don't have a handful of smaller dudes that are really athletic that can run all day. They had that last year when they had D'Angelo Russell, but they fucked around and they let D'Angelo Russell go back to the LA Lakers. Stupid for them, smart for the Lakers, because I peep him as top 10 point guards in the NBA. D'Angelo Russell, in my opinion, I think he's in the top 10. So a huge loss for the Wolves on that. And then they, picking up Troy Brown Jr. does nothing for them. Alexander Walker does nothing for them. Shake Milton. These are just average NBA guys. These are guys that floating around, that 50 spot, run of the mill, 45 spot. These guys are average guys. So I don't know how you run a team when you've got 3 guys that are starting and 2 of them are 7-footers and one of them's a 6'9", 6'10" on a lucky day kind of guys. You got beef How are you expecting to run up and down the court? How are you expecting to play transition defense? How are you expecting to have a transition offense? I do not see this being very smart for the Timberwolves at all. Sure. Do they have guys that are like really big name guys? Yeah, they do. But do they have really big name talent? No, they really don't. Karl Anthony Towns is a do it all power forward, stretch five at best. Um, but he's not a guy that's going to run up and down the damn court. Rudy Gobert's not a guy that's going to run up and down the damn court. They have nothing in transition. That's why they struggled to make the playoffs last year. That's why they're going to struggle to make the playoffs this year. And that's why I rank them the second worst team in this division. And I'm not exaggerating. Again, this is my show, just my thoughts. This is how I think, how I feel as an NBA fan. But as an NBA fan and as a sport of heart for basketball in general, I would never build a team where my guys are huge giants. I'm not trying to run the court with giants, and that's what the Timberwolves are trying to do. That's why I don't think it's going to work. I mean, how do you sit back when you play guys like Zach LaVine, so you're playing Chicago? How do you expect to stop Zach doing anything? I don't think you can. Flip side of that, how do you, when you have to go play LA Lakers and you're playing against D'Angelo Russell, how are you going to stop D'Angelo Russell running all over the place? I don't think you can. Flip side of that, let's go to a weaker team. How do you expect to stop a team that's full of youth that can run all over the place like Orlando Magic? I don't think you can. I don't think you got a team that can even beat an average team, let alone good teams. I don't see you in the playoffs, no matter how much money you spend. The Timberwolves, very sad, very depressing. Moving forward, I really like the cigarette. We've got the Oklahoma City Thunder. So this is a very interesting team. Everything that they did. Newsflash: almost all the news that they've made have been through the trades. So all these contracts are 1 year contracts that they picked up. Just check this out: Davis Bertan via trade, Usman Burba via trade, Ty Washington via trade, and then they used their money on a European player who was on the former European Championship team, Vigility Miocic, 3 years, 24 million. Then they, via trade through with Miami Heat, picked up Victor Oladipo, who already played for them before. And spending a little bit of money, they picked up Jack White for 4 years and 2 million. So if you don't know who Jack White is, Jack White played backup center for two different teams last year, the Denver Nuggets, and for who did he play for before the Nuggets? I think it was the Phoenix Sun. The Suns and the Nuggets, either which way. So he's kind of a younger guy, 26, 27, coming fresh off a contract, rookie contract. No one really wants to sign him. But so Oklahoma City Thunder said, hey, you know what? We'll take a chance on you, but we're going to take a chance on you at rookie value. He agreed. They got him 2 years, 4 million. Super dog cheap for a guy who's very athletic. This guy can run up and down the court. He's listed as 6'10", but he's also listed at 225 pounds. He's very agile, very mobile, can jump, can shoot a little bit, can play defense. He's nearly 7 foot tall, so he matches up well against anybody. He almost gives you the same physique as a guy like Michael Porter Jr., so this was a very intriguing pickup. Listen, everything that the Oklahoma City Thunder was very intriguing. Let me tell you something. Victor Oladipo is a very doable guy. Before his injuries, he was, arguably top 25 players in the NBA. Definitely top 10 shooting guards in the NBA. Full of talent. That's why Miami got him. Miami thought that he'd be the perfect teammate for Jimmy Butler, but because of injuries, he just never could get it going on. And that's been his rep his whole entire career. He has great numbers, gets hurt, has great numbers, gets hurt, has great numbers, gets hurt. If he could ever not get hurt and just continue to have those great numbers, Oklahoma City Thunder might have a scary fucking roster. I'm telling you, scary roster. Think about it. They got Lou Dort. They didn't lose him. They didn't lose anybody, so Lou Dort's still there. Josh Giddey's still there. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander still there. They did lose Saric. Sario Dragic, whatever. But picking up Jack White, Dario Saric. Thank you, Eric. You're welcome, Eric. Anyway, Dario Saric was their stretch five last year. Now they got Jack White to come in and be that stretch five, plus Davis Bertan. So, Their big thing is when their starters come off, they have no energy. So now they got a shit ton of energy. Let me tell you that Miocic, anybody that's coming off of a European title is generally pretty good. That means that they're better than every rookie being drafted. They're better than probably 4-year players. So they got a guy coming in, probably going to be their sixth man next year and going to really hold his own. I say he's probably going to be competing for a six man of the year next year. Ty Washington helps a little bit. Like I said, Burkhan helps a little bit. They've got an amazing starting core, and now they've got a very, very impressive bench core. I think this division is going to be battling between the Utah Jazz and the Oklahoma City Thunder for that number one spot for years to come. Not just next year, for multiple years. Oklahoma City Thunder and the Utah Jazz are extremely different teams and are going to look very good. And you better expect to see both of them in the playoffs next year. Oklahoma City Thunder, great job, great offseason. And the fact of doing it through trades, the fact you're saving money, only speaks measures to who the money's going to. So when Josh Giddey is up for contract, he's getting paid. When Lou Dort's up for contract, he's getting paid. When Shai Gilgeous-Alexander already got paid last year, you're saving up money for the team that you really want, and you found talent doing it. Great fucking job. Let me tell you, another team did this. The Brooklyn Nets did this, and the Oklahoma City Thunder did this. For teams who are trying to rebuild, you need to pay attention to what the Thunder has done and what the Brooklyn Nets have done. Find a guy, pay him some money, and work a lot of trades, because that saves trades, save money in the NBA. So great, great, great job moving forward. We got the Portland Trailblazers, right? So what's going on with the Portland Trailblazers? This is what they've done. They signed Jeremy Grant 5-year, $160 million to be their franchise guy. The reason why they did that is because they have, without no shadow of a doubt, they're losing Damian Lillard, probably to the Miami Heat. Maybe not guaranteed deal yet, but odds are he'll be going to the East. Odds are he's going to be teaming up to compete for a title, and odds are the best team that gives him those odds, period, will be the Miami Heat or the Boston Celtics. If the Celtics decide not to sign Jaylen Brown, they could go to Dame and be just as deadly. But the smart money says that he's out of town. So they had to make a franchise decision, and they decisioned 5 years, $160 million, Jeremy Grant. Also, to make sure that Jeremy Grant's not playing by himself, they re-signed Matisse Thybulle 3 years, $33 million. That was a pretty smart deal. Both of those deals were pretty good for the Portland Trail Blazers, and it also means that, obviously, because they're making these deals, that what I'm telling you about Damian Lillard is true. He will be leaving this team very soon. Then John Butler Jr., 1 year, $3 million. I think he's a rookie. Don't know a lot about him, so he might not be a rookie, but he's getting a rookie deal regardless. And then Ibu Baji, 1 year, $3 million. Again, I think he's a rookie. I think both the last two players that I listed were draft picks this year, and they went ahead and signed their draft picks early. So they're planning on them being part of the rebuild program, the what life after Damian Lillard program. That's that's going on. People don't know because it's not being publicized, but the Portland Trail Blazers are rebuilding, and they're rebuilding in the direction of Jeremy Grant and Matisse Thybulle. And I'm sure through the trade with Damian Lillard, they're going to get a piece that helps them stay relevant, or at least a tenth to stay relevant. But I see them being the losers of this division. Right up there with the Timberwolves. Now, they might be better than the Timberwolves, because at least they got two guys that can run the court, Jeremy Grant and Thybulle. I really think they're fourth place. I really think the losers of the division are the Timberwolves. Just what I think. Moving forward to your reigning NBA 2022-2023 champions, the Denver Nuggets. Let's talk about this team. This team is, I didn't even see as a championship team, and they shocked me and they shocked the world. So we're going to get to them now. First things first, they didn't lose anybody that they didn't want to lose, right? So they still got Jamal Murray, they still got the Joker, they still got Michael Porter Jr., and they still got Reggie Jackson. That's the first guy on the list. Reggie Jackson re-signed 2 year, $10 million. DeAndre Drummond re-signed veteran minimum 1 year, $3 million. They picked up Justin Holiday, who can run the court, who can dunk, who can shoot the three ball, who plays transition defense. Good pickup. They picked up Jay Huff as a rookie. They picked up Colin Jessupe, another rookie. They drafted rookie. They won a championship and still drafted 2 players. So all in all, Denver Nuggets are going to be just as good and just as scary as they were last year. Last year they won a title. So am I saying they're going to win back-to-back titles? No. I think the title was kind of luck to begin with. I think their division is scary improved. Yes, they have the Joker. Yes, they have Reggie Jackson. Yes, they have Michael Porter Jr. Yes, they have Jamal Murray. They have a hell of a squad. That's why they won a title. But they won a title in a beat-up division. What are you talking about? Well, I'm talking about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander suffered injuries last year. I'm talking about Colin Sexton suffering injuries last year. I'm talking about the OK City Thunder and the Utah Jazz had players that they had lost, would put Denver in a stronger position because there's no one else to really compete. Like I said, look, on paper, the Timberwolves can be proud of their players all they want, but they did not do a good job of putting up a good team. And that being said, the Portland Trailblazers are falling apart. So they do not put up a good team. I think the Denver Nuggets took advantage of a weak division. I think they'll be third in this division next year, maybe first. I could be wrong. They could be first, and then Jazz be second, and then the Thunder be third. Make no mistake about it. All 3 of these teams are playoff teams. So look forward to that next year when we're watching the playoffs and the Jazz and the Thunder and the Nuggets are all there. But I'm saying I don't think that their title, to me, I don't even think they knew that they were going to win the title. It came by surprise to me. I think it came by surprise to the entire NBA, and I don't see it happening next year. They're not going to have a repeat. They're damn sure not going to have a three-peat. I think they're the luckiest champions in NBA history. That's what I think. So that pretty much concludes everything that happened in the Western Northwest Division thus far this year. Now, as I said before, and I'll continuously say this as long as I'm talking, changes can be made on the fly. So I just did 3 nights ago. I had just suffered up the Pacific Western Division, and then 2 nights after doing that, Nerlens Noel, goes to Sacramento Kings, and I'm like, what the fuck? I just finished the Kings, and now they got a new player. So it's going to happen. Teams will change. Teams likely to change in this division would be the Portland Trailblazers and probably the Minnesota Timberwolves. Those would be the most 2 teams that are likely to change. And when that happens, you'll hear it from me, so don't worry about it. So let's do something we haven't done yet because we're only running at about 24 minutes and I got just a little bit of time. So let's build a Western Conference playoff run. And I haven't even done, we're not done yet, right? I still got 2 more teams, which means I still got 2 more episodes before I should properly be doing what I'm trying to do now. But let's just say this. Let's just say with all the improvements of LA, we can call them a playoff team. So that's 1 playoff team. I'm going to call Jazz, OKC, and Denver Nuggets playoff teams. So that's 4 playoff teams. I'm also going to say that Golden State's, they're going to be there, right? The Warriors are going to be there, and the Kings are going to be there. So 3 teams in the Lakers division and 3 teams in the Nuggets division. So it only leaves room for the other division's winner. And that other division is the division of, who haven't we talked about yet? Let's see who we haven't talked about yet. Oh, we haven't talked about the Southeast Division of the West yet. So that's the Grizzlies, the Pelicans, the Dallas Mavericks, Houston Rockets, and the San Antonio Spurs. Well, let's just clear that up then. So the last 2 playoff spots will go to the Grizzlies and will go to the Dallas Mavericks, and then we could pretty much call it, right? And then you're like, well, what about the play-in positions? right? So the playing positions are probably going to go to somebody like, I hate to say it, but let's say the Phoenix Suns, and let's just say New Orleans Pelicans. Let's just say those are going to be the 10 teams in the NBA featuring the West next year. And let's do that for the East as well. So throughout the discussions, we've talked about my division, which is the Central Division. Then we talked about the Atlantic Division, which is the 76ers division. So if we're going to build a playoff race, so to speak, I'm going to throw the Cleveland Cavaliers in there, the Chicago Bulls in there. I'm throwing the Raptors in there with the Boston Celtics. That's 4 teams so far. Knicks possibly make it, and the Indiana Pacers probably make it. That's 6 teams, and then obviously the Heat will be there, 7. Um, the Hawks would be there, 8. Playing teams will be somebody like Orlando Magic. I'm going to throw Orlando Magic in the mix. And I'm going to throw the Brooklyn Nets in the mix for the 10 teams in the NBA Eastern Conference to make playoffs next year. So that's how I see things going. And remember, we still got to break down the last 2 divisions. We'll talk about the Hawks and why they're listed as a playoff team. And then we'll talk about the Pelicans and why they're listed as a playoff team. All due in future episodes. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed the show, you like what you heard, and you enjoyed what you see, always feel free to like and subscribe to the channel. And if you're feeling generous, always feel free to cash at me, Erick Daniel Coughlin, #Coughlin Pride. Have a nice day.